Right, hello everybody. This is my first YouTube video. I'm just going to do a quick rundown of how my experience has been playing with the controller in World of Warcraft. Now, I have a condition called multiple sclerosis. Quite limits the use of my hands, so I find playing with the keyboard and mouse quite difficult. So what I've found is a few add-ons that make playing World of Warcraft perfectly feasible on a controller. I'm using an Xbox controller currently. I think you can use a couple of other ones. Let me just check. Controls, I believe... Oh, it doesn't tell you. I think you can use the Xbox One controller, a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 5 controller. There is, yeah, here, look. Xbox, PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4. Pretty simple. Now, this has gone quite seamlessly for me. There's not really many tweaks I've had to make. The main thing I've done, right, I'm an alcoholic. I play pretty much every class. I've got every class on Alliance's max level. And Horde, I'm working on getting my characters all to max level on there as well. I'll probably be streaming a lot of that on Twitch TV/MarkyBear, so tune in whenever you feel like. But as it is, my experience has gone quite well. It's very easy to control. Alright, the add-on's name is consoleport. With current World of Warcraft, since they added control support onto it, you don't need any external software anymore. In the past, you used to have to have something called WoW Mapper, which sort of let you input your console controller commands into Warcraft. But now you don't have to use any external software at all. It's just console port for the add-on. And as you can see here, it pretty much makes it simple. You've got it's a really quick, easy setup process you can do from this button here. You can set up all your bindings and everything, but honestly, it's so good. As you can see on the bottom of the screen, it brings up these two new action bars. You can quite simply drag your spells to where you want them. So, for the... As you can see, you've only got 4 buttons each side. Your D-pad and your A, B, X, Y buttons. My D-pad at the minute, I'm just using for mounts for the most part. But if you hold the left trigger, it gives you a new set of buttons to use. And then if you hold the right trigger, it gives you another set of buttons to use. Then if you hold both triggers, it gives you another set of buttons to use. So you've actually got a lot of action bars to use. So it's quite good to, as long as you get your skills set up, you've got enough skills to fit on there, you're all good. Now I've found that, because I play every class, I've got sort of muscle memory now as to what sort of I use for each button. You know, like my interrupts, for example, I always use left trigger and X for my interrupt. As you can see there, I'm just pressing the, holding L trigger and pressing X there, that'll be my interrupt. Normally I'd set left trigger and Y to either a ranged, or if the class I'm playing has a spell steal or dispel magical effect, I'll use that as left trigger and Y instead. The D-pad I use for most, well, I like to say buffs or healing, and then if I hold left and right, I normally use that for my burst sort of cooldowns and such. For most things anyway, you know, every class is different. You have to set it up different for every single one. But it's pretty simple to use. I do also use another add-on, come to think of it. Because I play every class, Alcoholic for one. Not all the things, sorry. Alcoholic is an amazing add-on for keeping track of all your characters on all the realms and everything. It sort of shows you what you've got on each, what item level they are. But there's so much to this add-on, it's unbelievable. You can basically track everything you do on all your characters in the game. You know, the progress and everything. And the other one I use that I think is a necessity if you play a lot of classes is BTW loadouts, because this is quite you've got to get the muscle memory for it, but to save myself setting up my action bars on every new character I play, you can make your action bar layout as it is. You can save it as a new set, and as you can see here, I've got a lot of classes and specs already saved. And then if I was to start a new character, say this is a Fury Warrior, say if I started a new Fury Warrior, I could then go to my Warrior Fury loadout that I've saved. I could click activate, and it'll put my new warrior to this exact action bar layout as well. So it's as long once you build the muscle memory there for whatever class you're playing, or multiple classes, you know, setting that up's pretty simple. But as it goes, you know, A is jump. It just makes it easier having A as jump. I mean, you can rebind all of these as well, but A is jump. LB and targeting. I'll just cut the video and I'll get somewhere where I can target something. Okay, so now we're in Xerath Mortis. I'll show you how to target emotes. So what I've done, I've set my right button as, you know, if it was on a PlayStation it'd be R1, as a tab target, and you can basically use that as you would the tab button if you target using tab. But if you want to target something specifically, you hold the left trigger and hold the right button. You will see the mobs are highlighting as I pass near them. You can very faintly see it. A mob highlights as I pass it. If I let go of the right button there, R1, it will target that mob. So this is holding the left trigger and then holding the R button, the R1 button, and as you can see, it sort of highlights the mob. If I let go, it targets it. Pretty simple. If you want to target specific things, or say if you're in an AoE situation but you want to hit just one mob, you can just sort of target whichever one you want using that functionality. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I've got L1. I want to use, because I'm an old school PlayStation person, I use my PlayStation buttons as reference. But L1 I've got set as charge on this warrior. And as you can see, it's quite simple, you know. I can sort of... Oh yeah, ground targeting, actually. I'll explain the ground targeting while I'm at it. Let me just kill these things. So ground targeting. Oh right trigger. Right, your joysticks. Left, when you press it in, so L3 will be basically like a left click. And right, when you press it in, will be a right click. So when you're sort of trying to interact with NPCs or whatever, you've got to L3 to interact with them. Or obviously, if it's a mob, it's going to attack them. The start button for me is basically escape. So you can press start and it'll be your escape button. So ground targeting is quite interesting. Where's my heroic leap? So I've got it as L trigger and A. Now you press the combination L trigger and A, then you can use the right analog stick to move around the target, but then if you press L trigger and A again, it activates it. However, if you're in a situation where you see this little crosshair, that crosshair will be the center of whatever the ground attack is. So if I, for example, go to my Spear of Bastion, if I put that cursor there, I press Y, that's the center of it straight away. Press it again and it puts it straight there. So you could quickly do if you need to drop, say like you're on a death knight, you want to death and decay really quickly, as long as that little crosshair is the center of where you want to do it, you can quite literally hold it and double tap the button and it'll cast straight away. It's pretty good. It's same for, you know, Warlocks, Shadow Fury, stuff like that, Mage Blizzard, all the AoE spells, they're quite easy to do. Once you get used to it, it does require a bit of muscle memory, I do think, but once you've got used to it, it's very easy to play. I mean, effectively, when you're using your joysticks, the left joystick is to move, the right is your camera, but it's almost as if it's holding the right click when you're with your right analog stick. So when you move your right analog stick, it moves your character with it. However, when you're not moving the analog stick, you just run around. You know, the camera's not following you. There is settings you can change, I believe, in the settings, but I've found that these default settings have worked perfectly for me. It's very good, it's very effective, and given that my limitations playing games as it is, I do struggle with the keyboard and mouse now. So any way I can find to play with a controller, it makes it so much easier for me, and it's just working for me. You know, I've got no complaints about it at all. So as for add-ons to help with playing with the controller, they're the ones that I've sort of got so far. You know, my alcoholic, because I am an alcoholic, I play every class in the game. Not at a high level, you know, I'm quite a casual. But I'm learning to play them all with controllers. I've been doing it for only a few weeks now. I've leveled a mage from level 1, a Blood Elf mage from level 1 to level 60 with the controller the whole way, and I didn't find any issues at all. You do find sometimes you still have to use the mouse. You know, say if it's if you've got a quest item, or this for example, you know, you can put the crosshair on it and then right click it, you know, with your right trigger, right joystick pressing in, you know, the R3. But sometimes it is easy just to move my hand to the mouse and sort of click. You know, stuff like this, the UI things, you have to sort of click them as well. But a lot of the things come up manually as well, like the quest text. And when you get in a quest, for example, the quest box, your cursor will automatically position itself somewhere. You can just use the D-pad to move it. One other thing people might think about is, so we're in a raid situation. I'm a healer. I'm in a raid. I want to heal. If you hold left trigger. If you hold the left trigger and press start, you see that little icon that just came up on my portrait? When you're in this mode, your D-pad will not... I'm pressing my D-pad at the minute and it's not mounting me. That will actually move around your raid frames. So you can select each party in your raid or group or whatever. And then you can press the equivalent button. When you're holding the L trigger in, it will still activate the moves on there. But if you're not holding the L trigger in, you're on your default D-pad, that will just navigate your raid frames or party frames. So in that regard, it's quite good for if you're healing a raid or whatever. You can still move about and everything. I'm still in this mode. You can see the little icon still on my portrait frame. You can still move around, and while I'm doing that, I can use the D-pad to target different party members, cast my heals or whatever if I'm a healer, or even if I'm on a mage, for example, remove curse, the debuff thing, I can do that. If I'm on a shadow priest, you can still cast random spot heals or shields on people. It's very simple, very easy to do. I've not actually got any footage of me healing anything yet, but I will have in the near future. But that's pretty much it, I think. It's a very simple software. It's not really software. It's a very simple add-on to use. It's made my life playing this game so much easier. I'm sure there's other people out there that do have similar struggles to me, where they are limited on the use of their hands or their body in general. And this is just with an Xbox controller. I'm playing this perfectly fine with an Xbox controller. No struggles at all. This is another thing as well. Remember when I was saying back to the joysticks being left and right click? I've just pressed R3 there, and that's mind the node for me. Pretty simple. So you've got to look at it as your L3 and R3 are your left click and right click. Your joysticks are movement and camera, and all the other buttons do your actions. It's pretty simple, very easy to use. No complaints at all. As I say, it's made my gaming experience quite a lot easier. And it's effectively made this game a lot better for me to play as well. Since I've had my limitations, it has been quite difficult to play on mouse and keyboard. Getting used to it with a controller didn't take any time at all. I was doing it quite well within the first day of playing it on the controller. And I'd highly recommend anybody that has any sort of struggles like myself with your hands, and you can still use a controller, give it a try. It's so useful. But as for that, I'd say that's about wrapping up point. There's not much more I can say on this subject. So I appreciate any feedback you've got. This is my first video. If any criticism, positive, negative, either way, feel free to tell me. I appreciate it all, and thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, thank you, bye.